I don't think anyone hates Vinay. He's a fun punching bag.
It deserves some
hype right now. You guys have no idea how hype I am about this. This is so hype.
Are you lamer boy? Why did you watch kick?
Norcal sucks, dude.
It doesn't matter what you think!
And here is your host, Higashi!
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining us on another episode of Ronin Rambles. This time we got a special edition called the Norcal edition, where we got some of the best, well, the most figureheadish people in Norcal, I guess, if you want to call them that. Got some great people, though. It's going to be myself, your host, Higashi, and also, you guys couldn't mute your mics, by the way. We've got Kevin Mercado, the GaGaGuy.
Good to see you guys, but I'll save that for afterwards.
Alright. Next, we've got the man who doesn't really do anything. He kind of just sits around. He drops combos a lot as well. Got Crackfiend.
What up, everybody? I'm Crackfiend, the combo dropper.
Next up, we've got the streamer, the TO, the video producer himself, JPBreganza.
Yo, what up, guys? What's poppin'?
Then finally, we've got Leo, OneTimeHero. Boxer extraordinaire, streamer, community guy. Say what's up.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Isn't that so pleasant, dude? Say it with such a smooth voice. All right. But yeah, so today is going to be the NorCal edition of the podcast. And the reason why we wanted to kind of do this was just because someone said a certain thing, and you may have seen it in the intro, and that is that NorCal sucks. Now, whether you agree with that or not is up to you, but I think it's a fun discussion because we're all from NorCal, obviously, and I think we can all just have some fun talking some shit as well. So, anyone want to start it off? No?
I mean, don't we have the right to face our accuser to our face? So
yeah, of course.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy. I heard you said NorCal sucks.
Dude, I mean, have you looked at us lately? In terms of Street Fighter, I mean.
Wait, we have a NorCal scene?
Right? Exactly. I mean, I don't know. I just keep looking at the history behind these past couple of years, and I think it's rough for us here in the area right now. I mean, lack of venues, lack of competition, lack of drive for most and many, you know, and a lot of the players that I played with, right, like you, Crack, and Leo and Kevin, like we all just grew up, and we had like no youngins to manifest, right? So, yeah, that was the unfortunate part. So we have winners. We have winners from this area.
Mikey.
Yeah, it's outside of Mikey, right? But it's just I don't think the scene was manifested well, unfortunately. That's just my belief.
Well, it's like from my point of view, because I'm a 016er, like I was always a fan of the NorCal scene back in the Street Fighter 4 and Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 days. So like I've seen some of that, but I haven't actually been to those events. I've never been a part of the scene until, like I said, 016. But from what I saw though, it was definitely like way more well developed, flourished incredibly well, and it was just it looked like a lot of fun to go to. I just never went out because reasons. But I mean, I know you guys were there though, so I'm sure you guys can put some more some insight in that as well.
I mean, I watched because of the viral video on Twitter, I end up watching a lot of the podcast in depth, trying to find ways to trying to bring JP back to God, you know? And so I was watching it and I was thinking, I don't think it's too clear the motivations between NorCal and SoCal and how that is different past and present. So Parker in the chat is saying something that I think is very similar because I've been thinking this also. Who were the first players to really get sponsored and become really established in the scene? And those players just stopped showing up, right?
Yeah.
And then who were the people who started the majority of the financing? I want to say, like, my perspective would be, Terry, Kaneda, and our group trying to put a lot of stuff together.
Right.
Who needs that to exist and who doesn't need that to exist? Valle needs it to exist because he needs to put bread on the table. Every person in NorCal who's the leader usually has a lot of their other stuff together. And their vision is like, let me make sure my passion stays alive, not let me make sure my passion feeds my passions. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah.
And then you got on one side, you got a whole bunch of highly talented, salaried players who no longer feel like they need to show up. It did not surprise me that we're basically having to beg Snake Eyes to come to a tournament. Snake Eyes, please come to South Bay.
What's
Eduardo,
interesting,
please, man, can you show up to this? Can you show up to
that
this?
too.
You guys know this. It's not because they don't need exposure. They're already super good. We have some of the best players, period. But in SoCal, you have a lot of people living a dream. So you have a lot of people thinking, oh, I could be the next Snake Eyes. I could be the next whatchamacallit. In NorCal, we're kind of like grounded. We're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get this tech job. I'm gonna play as good as I can. But I'm making my money on the stock side of things. I'm good. So I think that's how most of it has gone.
Right.
It's not nobody's fault, right?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was really interesting that like Pure Balrog, he's in South Bay, and he wouldn't go to South Bay events like after a while, and Snake Eyes was in San Francisco, and he wouldn't go to San Francisco events either. So I always thought that was like really interesting as to like why they wouldn't want to even like take a 5-minute or 10-minute drive or anything like that.
Yeah, and I don't know their personal reasons or something, but if I looked at it like, if they think they're gonna win every time, and they're already getting paid to go places, maybe they want to chill. But a lot of this stuff has always happened, at least from my fighting game experience, where like a lot of the top tier players are like, they don't want to really train with you guys, and it would always make me confused because as a mid-tier player, you need the top guys to be there, because I have been at events where some kid comes up to me and says, "Hey man, is LPN here? I just I just really want to play him. I heard he's really good." Meanwhile, I have beaten this man 10 times in a row. He does not know who I am. He does not care. He is nowhere near LPN if he can't beat me. But you know what? Hey, brother, you can tell me where LPN is. Is that him over there? So if we had the star power, right? They had a guy drive 2 hours to see Alex Myers in an event that the dojo team was sponsoring, basically the Campbell what do we call it, Den Dojo.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
A guy drove 2 hours. Alex Myers gives this guy a pat on the back and says, "Hey man, thanks for driving just to play with me to tell me to tell you to anti-air." But those guys, if they were to show up, we'd probably have more. But a lot of these guys, besides Alex, are either already old or already a legend. Like Ricky Ortiz was a legend in 2003 when I started first playing the game.
Right.
And do they want to go to a local 15 years later? I don't know. So that's their deal. LPN shows up, right? But but
what about Crackfiend? Did Crackfiend show up?
No one has ever asked me where Crackfiend's at, except for when the meat's there. And a lot of times, they just want to use him for his pieces. You know what I mean? So I don't respect that. I tell them to go to the bathroom.
Such is life. Such is the life of me.
Oh god.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I do think that now that I think about it, how many of the organizers or like top players from back then are now still playing nowadays, right? And that was one thing when I first started coming out. I was like, I wonder if they're gonna stick around when the next big game comes out, which was Street Fighter V. And then I was kind of met with a big no. Everyone just kind of like did their own thing, and like Leo mentioned, I think everybody was sort of sorting themselves out in real life. They found some comfort, and I don't think they need to come out anymore. But
would you call that complacency then?
no,
It couldn't have been complacency if the situation didn't present itself in the first place, right? Because like what Leo said, the nature of NorCal and SoCal are completely different.
It's
Right.
always been different.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And growing up with you guys, I've always seen you guys more on the job grind, right? Than the Street Fighter grind, because that's just where the priorities were, right?
Mhm.
Of course, it feels good to be one of the better players within your region. Of course, it feels good to improve, but you know, there were a lot of stopping powers coming to NorCal, especially during the Street Fighter 5 era, right?
Mm.
That
Yeah, like
slowed a lot of us down.
yeah,
But-
like for example, the economy rebounding. So in 2009, they're paying me to move into an apartment in Foster City, right?
Mm, yeah.
In 2019, they don't give a shit who I am. Where's the money at?
Yeah.
That's all that really matters right now. So like trying to get an event, right? As a person, there's a difference, and Anthony knows this very well. Like there's a difference between being a TO and being a TO, right? You're not just running a bracket, trying to find event space, contracting people, talking to the hotel, getting insurance, doing this kind of stuff is expensive. And so when you have to look at 20 something venues and every venue says, well, I need to make the entrance $25 for a 60-person event.
Yeah.
That's not happening, right? There's a lot of risk reward. So even with NCR, as you guys know, John is taking a big hit because of COVID.
Yep.
And he takes that risk every single time. So in order to have a similar person take on that kind of responsibility, you need to have a bank of at least, for a Hadacon, you need somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000.
Yep.
Just to bet on it. And then later, I don't know how much it costed for your guys' events, Anthony, but we had to put a lot of money up front. So it's very expensive. Not to mention, of course, all the normal things like equipment.
Yep.
Right. And I think another big thing was, not only people taking gambles on venues, but venues closing or people closing sessions in general as well too. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, Foundry, big example, right?
Oh
for-
man, I have so
for-
many things to say about that.
Yeah,
but-
for us early on, and also Parker mentions how closed off the upper echelon is for our players here in NorCal. And yeah, that's just the nature of it, honestly. Like,
Yeah,
we
because
have to make do.
Yeah, because people like our sessions that we had at Jose's place that were very open, and we would have like somewhere between 20 and 30 people there at any given time.
Yep.
And some of the smaller tournaments like Dendojo or, oh my God, what was the other one? The Joe ones, some of the random Joe ones we'd have at bars. Remember those?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Those are more important than people believe, but there was a kind of a, am I going to be on stream type of thing with some of these other players and stuff? And it wasn't really about growth, because that was all I could think about is like, how do we get people to come back more often? Because when we ran, X Factor and TNT before that, we're on the phone or on the phone, we're on Facebook or on the phone or messages trying to making sure people got dragged in.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that where NorCal got complacent to some degree is kind of like the, we will build it, they will come. Oh, cool. Thank God. Savior's here. We got, what do you call it? Is it the, what is it called? GG, the Folsom one, the Folsom Foundry. What was it called?
Also Street
That's the True
Foundry.
Awesome Street Foundry.
No, who's the organizer? It's called
CJ.
Showdown.
Showdown.
GG.
So
Showdown
we had
GG.
one savior after another, but think about how we were built. We were built on like one person self-sacrificing.
Yeah.
We had Terry buy 30 PS4s or something like 15 PS4s. I remember that. Or PS3s or PS4s. I don't remember. PS3s.
Yep.
He had to buy 15 of them or something. Joe has to buy his own thing. Everyone's real proud of their machines that they invested in.
Yeah.
Because it's such a big deal, right? But then it's like, oh, thank God we have Showdown. And then, oh, God, okay, cool. And then Valle comes in. Okay, we have stimulus. But all the stimulus is coming from the outside, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So sometimes I think that might be part of it.
Not to mention Caroline's voice. Shouting out to
Yeah.
like 30 dudes every
Hell
single
yeah.
week on time.
Oh, yeah, her tournaments were really good too. Remember those?
Oh my god.
Tournament in the Butter
Gaming?
was definitely one of my
Yeah.
favorites, if not my
Yeah.
favorite tournament to go to, because that was my first actual local to attend,
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely Carolyn definitely made a huge difference in at least me coming back. Because I think the next week she remembered who I was. And I was like, what, really?
Yeah.
I'm brand new here and the TO already knows who I am. Cool.
Yeah. It's crazy.
I think a topic I
Carol?
want to go into real quick though is like kind of what Leo was saying, right? With perspective and how over the course of time it changes. Leo's been around since 2003. I came in roughly about late 2002. The perspective when I first started was really just trying to get better, right? Like people genuinely wanted to get better, even though the scene was at that time what we considered a dying community. That's why we called it the Dark Ages, right?
I came in the worst possible time.
We came in the worst possible
It's
time.
like so bad.
But at the same, but we had such fire to try and get good, you know. And as we grow, as priorities change, perspectives change, but also with the emergence of things like Twitch.tv or formerly known as Justin.tv, and it being the juggernaut of esports that it is today, and sort of, it's in my opinion at least, sort of the romanticization of esports. I think that sort of changes these players' perspectives and what becomes important at these events. And as a matter of fact, I would go as far as saying that locals have lost more than enough of its value for people to want to go there. Whereas back then, when we were streaming, the locals did have value because people wanted to play those people at those locals, those top dogs, those guys that were getting the clips. And now it's all about the clips. That's just my opinion and my take on that.
Yeah, I agree. I and it was a little different because like every person, we were so happy to be there, right? So imagine even in 2003, I'm helping just get people to go. So the whole week I'm spending time in the arcade trying to get people. Hey, you coming? You coming Friday? Even though no one ever comes. You know, we got 5 people for Marvel superheroes. Oh shit, we got 12 people for CVS2. Tournament's gonna take 2 hours, right?
Remember NCR? What a major number was?
Which one?
One of the early ones before 2009.
Oh, before 2009?
Yeah,
I didn't get to go to those because I didn't have no money back then until like I was over here in the Bay. Yeah, as a kid, we went down to Sunnyvale and I got my I was promptly told to go back home. But let me tell you that. So yeah, so point being, we knew that we had something special and we were doing something for the first time. And so a lot of the respective leaders in each region, you know, people were working together and people were doing a lot of travel at the same time. But if you look at it now, like some of the stuff feels like it's disjointed. Like I was at I don't know if you guys go to the other tournaments, but I went to Joe's YouthNet.
Yep.
I went over there because coincidentally my company had a company party at that time, and they want people to go there just like anybody else. And I had to try to walk go deer through. Well, here are the steps that you need to do if you want to grow your community, right? And people don't understand. Like it's not just the location, which Joe is. If you give anybody credit in this community, Joe can get a location in any part of the earth. Like somehow he can find a way to convince some person to get him the best deal he can on the smallest space possible. And he's going to put that thing with LED lights all over the place, and we're going to be able to play the games.
And still make some more money off of it.
Right. But he needs the people to be like the Harrison of our group, right? Or be like Anthony, or even be Joser and be like, oh, let me just sacrifice my weekend and like have everybody come to my place. Like we need to be recruiting more of these personalities, because you have to imagine that some of these personalities are going to leave naturally.
Yeah.
And
Right,
those
but,
personalities are rare.
The personalities are supposed to bring more people in as well. That way it's like it just grows naturally like that. But I guess if you can't get them in the first place, it's kind of at a standstill.
Right.
Yeah, recognize who they are and stuff, and like, you know, so I feel like what's obvious or something was kind of like there just needs to be, like, if NorCal, you know, after COVID and everything, and we have some events or whatnot, you know, it'd be really nice if it was more obvious that we were trying to pull in more of these micro groups from every group. So there's going to be the leader group, right? And then there's going to be like groups underneath. And then every group has their little squad and they all session together. Sessions still exist, right?
Yeah.
but trying to make sure that everybody gets representation in terms of like, what do you guys want from the tournament? Because a lot of people I talked to for the previous stuff was like saying they wanted earlier events because for some reason in 2009 we had events at 7 o'clock, 7:30, but everything is feeding the stream, and we got to make sure XSK Samurai can get his money, and we got to make sure,
Yep.
This guy can get on stream. I'll make sure this commentator's here. Da 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 da. Like, it's like we're losing sight. We're hosting an event, but we're losing sight of the people, which is what I think Anthony's trying to say. Like, the people were the focus. We love this game. We want to get better at this game. Let's have tournaments for this game. Yeah, and then let's record this game and we play some more of this game. Now it's like, okay, we have this stream coming up. We got this esports thing. Do you want to be on this Switch.com? There are more people waiting in line to be a commentator at Wednesday Night Fights than there are people willing to wait to play the game at Wednesday Night Fights.
Oh boy.
That's crazy how much has changed now. Then
I can
Perspectives
tell
have changed,
you.
right? Opportunities. People look at this big old bulb called esports, and then they're like, "Oh shit, I can make fucking money out of this." And all of a sudden, they all come popping in, and we're not talking about just people in the community, right? We can go all the way straight to corporates who look at this word called esports, and they're like, "Oh my god, how do I get in this? How do I make this money?"
Little do they know.
there's a lot of misconceptions about esports nowadays, though. Like back in the day, I think esports like FGC was probably the first esport, I guess, on the internet from like Ustream and Justin TV and whatnot. But it wasn't really an esport at all in any shape, way, or form. But like nowadays, it's all about the money. It's all about who you have attending, and it's really hard to make it lucrative as well. It's incredibly difficult. It's almost impossible.
I mean, Leo, you remember like the days where like we were trying to decide like would we go with Ustream or Justin.tv because one had a better. You remember that discussion, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
like
Which
things
is
were
fine.
so
Which was
complex.
fine. That wasn't that bad.
No, it wasn't a bad discussion. It was just like what works better for us because we want to show people what we enjoy doing. But we want to show it the best way possible. It wasn't as if this whole thing was supposed to be blown up into whatever it is where people are making thousands of dollars on contracts and then the other 99.9% is making nothing.
Yeah. I mean, if we're still talking about how NorCal sucks, are we still talking about how NorCal sucks?
That's like the general topic of the day, anyway. So.
Can we hear Kevin speak? I can't see him. Kevin, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, Kevin, I wanted to ask you in particular. So you were a big Marvel. You were in the Marvel scene for quite a long time. So the Marvel scene, from what I saw, kind of shipped to Dragon Ball. So what's like your take on terms of like the skill and how it's like kind of fallen a little bit
For Marvel, for Dragon Ball?
For like the transition, because it's a different age, obviously, and I think like the transition from Ultimate Marvel 3 to it was the Street Fighter 5 and then to Dragon Ball for most people. That's what I saw at least.
I think so obviously I'm sad that Marvel is gone. And yeah, a lot of them did move on to Dragon Ball. The one positive thing I will say that's kind of contradicting what we're all talking about is like, why does NorCal suck? I actually think NorCal Dragon Ball is like really good and really young. Like because the only quote unquote old head is shit, I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's Vineeth now. Vineeth is like the old guy of that community, and you have all these kids, little high schoolers like Jonathan Tene, Gotham Paladin, Aaron the Mac, like all these guys.
Beyonzo too.
Oh yeah, Beast. Well,
Bisu.
Bisu is mad old.
But yeah, so the reason why I'm kind of pointing this out is because Dragon Ball, I think they're doing good in NorCal, and I think they're getting a lot of new blood. And the reason I'm saying that is because I think they legitimately like the game. So this bridges me to this next point, which I finally wanted to ask after all this time. Do you think Street Fighter as a game has affected people wanting to come out? Do people actually really like Street Fighter 5?
Can I address something real quick?
Mm-hmm.
What time did DBFZ start? Every time I was there, you guys were already playing.
Wait, what do you mean? What time did it start?
What was the when time did the tournament start?
Oh,
no, wait.
Yeah, I think it was like
right?
7
Seven,
ish,
yeah, 8.
7 or 8. No, I think it was.
Smash starts at 7. Everything else
Smash
starts
starts at 7.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah,
8
yeah.
actually. Yeah.
because they have 150 man brackets every week.
That's good.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, that see, like JP just said, like Smash has 150 people because people legitimately like that game.
Right.
Right. I still think what I feel like in NorCal, Street Fighter 4 was the game. Like everybody loved that game. Even for me, that even though I didn't play it, I still would like to, watch people play on setups or on stream or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But now when it comes to Street Fighter 5, it's kind of like okay. I feel I'm indifferent on it. I don't feel that same sort of like energy and entertainment value when it comes to Street Fighter 5. I feel like the precedent going into Street Fighter 5 was really esports, so people were trying to find I don't know, they're trying to find a quick buck, they're trying to get their names out there. They're trying to use Street Fighter 5 as a platform to promote themselves rather than get better as a player, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, go.
I'll just
go,
finish
yeah.
up. Because Leo did bring up a funny point in that when I was still going to Wednesday Night Fights up here in NorCal, there were a lot of people that that wanted to be a commentator more than a player, like a lot more. And that was kind of weird for me because back then, if you became a commentator, you were just kind of given the mic and you didn't ask to become a commentator. So Nidell was like, "Oh, here's a mic. Get on there and just talk for us." It's like, "Oh, okay, cool." So yeah, I just think Street Fighter 5 was a platform for people to promote themselves as an individual rather than as a player. That's my take.
Anthony, you want to go first?
No, go for it. Go for it.
Well, personally, I really like Street Fighter 5. I think that the game has actually gotten better over time, so that's good.
It has gotten better, yeah.
I think it's just much better. I think that the expectation is the issue, like the expectation, and you know how Capcom is just like, oh, we have a new game, so screw all your other mechanics and all the things you learned from before, so you can just be garbage now, like because it's a new game. Versus like you make a new shooting game, Valorant, for example, and you're like, well, I played Counter-Strike for years, and then so that actually translates, and so a lot of Street Fighter fundamentals will translate, but in some ways they don't, and they just like they hit you so hard with like the way the game works, so people were unmotivated. But I don't think that changes anything. Whether it was Street Fighter 4 or Street Fighter 5, you couldn't get Snake Eyes to go to XYZ tournament. You couldn't get whatchamacallit go XYZ tournament. We had everything. We had Capcom in NorCal. We had a good locations. I just think that like people had like a love-hate relationship with the game because they weren't doing as well as they were in the old game. Yeah, at least the first year. I think the first year was really difficult.
Yeah,
I was getting beat from people who never beat me before, and Gustavo told me his locals were unwinnable for him. Do you guys know that?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Did you ever tell you guys that?
Struggling super hard in the early going, the first 2 seasons, I believe.
Yeah. Gustavo and
Yeah.
Iperu like sucked in the first year.
They said they couldn't beat their locals.
Yeah.
What
They
character
couldn't go their
did,
locals and win. That's what
character did
Gustavo
Strider
told me
play?
himself.
Laura.
Oh, okay.
He started with Cammy back in season 1.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
He would go there and
Interesting.
get washed, and he would be like, "We don't know what we're doing." Like, and you had Gustavo being like top, one of the best American players ever, and he had to basically relearn a game, right? Learn from scratch, and that's really difficult, especially if you've been traveling for so long. But I think, DBFZ is like super fresh, right? I mean, you're talking about like a actual fresh game versus like fake new game Street Fighter 5.
What also catered to like the Marvel players that wanted to play Marvel, but because of what happened with
couldn't.
Infinite, it kind of changed a lot. And like Dragon Ball is also like who the hell doesn't know what Dragon Ball Z is? Like if you're in the FGC, you better know what Dragon Ball is in some shape, way, or form. So
Changed my life.
I mean,
Hell
James
yeah,
Chen
dude.
doesn't know Dragon Ball at all. So
sick.
Also, to kind of
yeah,
back up Higashi's point. I think Dragon Ball, when it first came out, that was the same year that ESA opened up, and ever since then, that was the consistent spot for Dragon Ball Z.
Right.
So if you wanted to play NorCal Dragon Ball Z, you knew you could go there. I think with Street Fighter 5 or just like Capcom games in general, we jumped to so many locations that I feel people didn't know where to go because and so not having that consistent location, people are like, well, what's going on? Like, why is our player base being split up? Dragon Ball, there's like, okay, we'll take the BART, we'll go to Oakland, and that's it. We know where to they know where to go, they know where to play, so they're willing to come out because yeah, there's a set game plan.
I
With
mean,
Street Fighter, go ahead.
go ahead. No, you finish your point.
No, well, I was about to say that for the Capcom player base, since it was just dragged all over the place, people didn't really know where to go. That's it. That's the point I was just gonna make.
I actually don't believe that. I mean, I guess call me the minority, but back in Street Fighter 4 through Street Fighter 5, my schedule was pretty hectic. You know, like Monday, Tuesday, Antioch, Concord. You know, for sessions and tournaments. Wednesday would be go to Den Dojo play. Thursday would be Folsom Street Foundry. Friday would be either Den Dojo again or San Jose to play at Milpitas Golfland or anywhere in San Jose or Micro Gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Saturday would be Sacramento for their monthlies, and then Sunday would just be my rest day. You know, all coming from like Vallejo to South Bay to Sacramento and back. You know, like there was plenty of information for people to go places to where they needed to go. That's where my frustration lies, is because of my personal experience with even Long's place, right? Even LPN's place, Monday nights. All you got to do is just hit them up and make sure you get a spot, right? Or Ryan's place, you know. Like, so that's where my frustration lied within me saying NorCal sucks, because it's like, as the time went on, yes, as people were getting older and getting jobs, there was also a lackluster of people wanting to, you know, there was less and less people wanting to, you know, feel their hunger, feel their drive, I guess. You know, granted, some of them may be better than me and don't have to drive anywhere, but then, like, you know, they could still help out in many other ways, right?
I want to hop in real quick because I actually agree with your point. When you spend enough time on the ground to talk to the people, and Leo and I have spent so many years in the scene, you know, like we've seen what kind of things drive people to become better players, on top of trying to achieve what they want to achieve in their personal daily lives, right? So you have a very complex issue in terms of people who want to be good or people who want to be successful outside of the FGC, right? So some people may reach a pinnacle of where they get to outside of the FGC, and they're like, you know what, I don't really want to be as good in fighting games anymore. So they just chill. They come to tournaments, they hang out, but you also have the some people who say they want to get good, and then what you're hoping to see is that drive. But I don't think that intent is always pure, because like you said, like we mentioned earlier, you have some people that kind of, pardon me, that want to be a commentator, or they want to be able to get into the logistics, into the operations, and they're not as interested in being players. So you start to see, like, back then it was just like, I just want to be a player. To make a tournament happen, oh shit, what do I do? Let me help you run a bracket. Right, like we were panicking to try and help because we wanted to build a scene because we had nothing. We were starving for it. But in today's market, you know, there's nothing to really starve for. Now it's like, how do I fit in this little puzzle piece?
And I have to say, like, there's also something we're missing, right? So how do you feel about DBFZ netcode?
I think everyone. Oh yes, that's a Higashi question.
It's great, right?
The netcode for Dragon Ball, it's not terrible. It's definitely playable, but it's not. I actually think it's better than Street Fighter 5, to be perfectly honest.
You're talking about on PC, right?
Okay,
PC, PS4, you know, it's either one. But obviously it depends on your preference and location based, because like with Street Fighter 5, sometimes when I'm playing someone in the Bay Area, it would just lag every once in a while, some rollback, you know, stuff like that. But with Dragon Ball, it's a pretty stable connection. Like I'm able to keep a consistent 2 or 3 frame delay. So I think that's pretty important for it to be super consistent, as opposed to it being the quality being super high.
Yeah, yeah. So imagine that Street Fighter 4 netcode sucks. It sucks. It was hard to find good quality games. The matchmaking was terrible. So you couldn't find anyone that you thought was good, honestly, unless you see the one dude sitting around 5,000 PP or whatever it is, and you try to get his match, all right? And then you're going to get slammed down. So the matchmaking was terrible. Online experience was pretty terrible. Street Fighter 5, I can play someone in Louisiana and it would like be kind of bad, but I can also play someone in San Jose and it'd be kind of bad. But I can also play someone in Texas and it'd be okay, which I've had matches against those people, right? Or I fought against what's his name in Hawaii and it was better than when I played him in SF4 from in the same location. I think like the netcode experience is actually better in Street Fighter 4, and that's why nobody comes out. Like, because I had to literally, like, I can't even, when we say, like, if me and Anthony play a game, right? If Anthony beats me online in Street Fighter 4, I want the run back in person.
Of course.
In Street Fighter 5, if I beat him online, he can hold it. That shit's good enough.
Just because
It's good enough. Like, it's good enough. And so I think the Street Fighter 4 netcode was just not good enough. Like, it just wasn't good enough. And so they did fix it. It has lots of problems. But if I play DBFZ, from my perspective, Higashi, when I played it, I could not play someone online. Every time I played someone, it was like 4-7. 4-7.
How long did you? Well, okay, well 4-7. I think
first season.
4-7 is kind of crazy. But like, how long did you give that like trial period for Dragon Balls Online compared to Street Fighter 5's online? Because like, I think we can all agree at the very start, Street Fighter 5 Online was one of the worst experiences imaginable, and okay. But you kept on playing it because you liked the game. There wasn't really much else to play at the time. Whereas opposed to Dragon Ball, you probably gave it maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, if that, and then went back to Street Fighter kind of thing.
But okay, I agree what you're saying. But back to my Crackfiend example. If you're at home, right, and you're playing against your friend, and you're like, "Oh, I can fuzzy block that in person all day." I don't say any of that shit for Street Fighter 5. Not a single time. Today. Like never. And I didn't say that last year either. Oh, I can't. I just literally can't see the mix-up. The mix-up is actually broken. I couldn't see it in person if I wanted to. Like an Ibuki mix-up or something. I can't see. I'm guessing. Mika mix-up? I'm literally guessing. Put me in person. You'll still mix me up. DBFC? I swear to God I can block that.
Says
Really?
you.
Can you really block it?
I've seen setups offline on DBFC.
Dude, Dragon Ball setups are
Way
fucked up,
out
dude.
there.
Some of those
Yeah,
are just
way out
ridiculous.
Oh,
But they're more ridiculous online, right?
Of course. I mean, isn't everything though? Like, isn't everything more ridiculous online? I mean, you can make the argument of like, say, a command grab from like Mika. You can't really do anything about that because it's unreactable because it's 5 frames, stuff like that. But like for Dragon Ball, a lot of it's based on reactions. Yeah, this is true. And like with Street Fighter, it's more based on hard reads, guesses, stuff like that. But I mean, that's the game though. That's not the online. That's the game.
I will say this though, I stopped playing Street Fighter 5 because of online. I just could not get a consistent enough, and this could be by location and by ISP from location. Who knows, right? I just couldn't get a consistent enough connection with almost anybody, unless it was somebody that I really knew. Every time I tried to play ranked, it was Teleport City, and the only thing I could feel in my entirety of my body was tilt and salt. That was it. Right, that all I tasted was salt, and I was just like, I just couldn't deal with it because like, I want to be able to play, and if all I see is somebody teleporting while they're walking, like bro, like how am I gonna play a fighting game online at all?
Right, and that's normal for Ultra Instinct Goku. None of you guys are tripping about that. Like he's supposed to teleport. It's in the game.
I can't say anything. I haven't played Dragon Ball since a while ago. But
has anyone?
I don't think anyone in this call has recently.
No.
But like from what I've seen though, Goku Ultra Instinct is it's a pretty cool character. But yeah, he does teleport.
Yeah.
But yeah. So one thing I wanted to say on what Kevin was talking about. Okay, never mind. It wasn't what Kevin said. It was just what I was thinking while he was saying something. But well, so Street Fighter V, the players that were playing from Street Fighter 4, they were already established at that time, right? Like they were already people like Balrog, Ricky Ortiz, Justin Wong, all those other guys. But when Street Fighter 4, when it started, they were pretty much all unknown outside of fighting games, right?
Not Justin Wong.
Well, okay, sure.
Not
Whatever.
Justin
Justin Wong's a fucking like he's a special case in every shape, way, and form. But
Wong. Not Justin Wong, not Ricky Ortiz, not John.
I don't
Choi.
think many people knew who Ricky Ortiz was before Street Fighter 4, before like outside of fighting games.
Outside of fighting games,
outside of fighting games.
That's
I can't
everything.
say.
That's you can say that for everything, right? But
Well,
like,
you can
going
everyone
into
but
Street
Justin
Fighter
Wong.
4,
But
yeah.
But I think that was one of the reasons why those players didn't come out for Street Fighter 5 in particular, because they were already established, they're already known, they're already good enough for people to care about them. So I think that was another thing that kind of hurt the scene in general, was just that Street Fighter 5 was the game that was after Street Fighter 4, and the players were already streamers, whatever you want to call it, but they were just well known, and they didn't need to come out, as opposed to Street Fighter 4 where they felt like they should. I don't know. Anyone got takes on that?
I think you're right in this terms of like trying to come out and make Street Fighter 4 a thing, right? And thankfully it did, right?
Oh yeah, it did, definitely.
Like without it, we wouldn't have this whole renaissance, quote unquote renaissance, for the fighting game community.
If you were in the dark ages, you know this is the Renaissance. You just don't know.
I wasn't a part of that time, obviously.
It's a dark time,
right?
Oh yes.
But I have heard stories, and I have like learned up on the history of it, and or attempted to, at least, because I think it's so important to know about the FGC history. But yeah, like before going into Street Fighter 4, I learned about the Daigo parry, right? Between Justin Wong and Daigo. What made Street Fighter 4 escalate even higher was that story going into Evo 2009, right? Because like a whole year after that video blew up, guess what happened, right? It ended up being Justin Wong and Daigo in grand finals with the reset, right? And it's just a crazy story to start off with, and I think that's what like helped set the bar for the FGC, right? Especially the fact that it was live, that it was broadcasted. When at first it was just supposed to be just a bunch of fucking friends just recording sets just to talk shit and have fun with it, and just post it on YouTube and like be like, oh, remember that time when I bodied the shit out of you with that Forte Infinite, right? But yeah, I guess that's another thing, is that like if it weren't for like those kinds of stories that were going into these games or into this community, a whole lot of people that I wouldn't expect to be in the fighting game community wouldn't have gotten into the fighting game community without those stories. And like with the story of Street Fighter 5, it was just like it was literally what Kevin said. You either love it or hate it, right? And nothing really crazily interesting happened right away afterwards, except for L.I. Joe being one of the only Americans making top 8, and then the Punk run, right? But outside of that, I don't know. There's not really too many stories that are really driving.
Well, it's just like, I think it's
This
like a lack
community,
of
yes.
people who just want to talk shit, right? I mean,
I don't-
everything is on social media these days, and everyone views it as like
Yeah.
something negative. Whereas back in the day, people would see it as just competition and just competition, basically.
Right.
Well, something I want to compare that to actually is kind of the recent documentary of Michael Jordan and the Bulls, right? The Last Dance. The reason why I say that is because when you saw that video of Daigo versus Justin, right? Like if you didn't actually follow the scene, nor were you in the scene, you wouldn't know how good these two actually were back in the days. So one of the things was like, you see this video and it's big, and I guarantee you that people are watching this asking, are they really that good? I could probably do that shit too.
I'm happy to ask that.
You have this mystery though, but you have a mystery, a story behind this that people are very genuinely curious about, and people want to find out about it, right? So being the brand that they are today was partially attributed to that video, but also the continuation because of them being who they are.
Yeah, I mean, so let's maybe explain why I thought Ricky Ortiz was super good before I met Ricky and before I even saw a single match of her. Right on SureYouCan.com, you'd have these badges for like wins or something. There was like some kind of, I didn't get the win, so I didn't actually have the badge. But you'd get these badges, and so I'd see that Ricky had all these badges, and then you'd be like, "Who is this person? Like, I don't understand." And you'd want to know what it's like to fight them because there's no internet, right? There's no replays. There's only a description of what happened, right? And so I think that what happened with Street Fighter, again, about the netcode being better, also replay system being honestly the best replay system I think that we have. I don't know if DBFZ is similar. I think it's close, maybe. You have the ability to see how good everyone is. Like, oh, if I want to watch Sako on a daily basis, you can. If you want to watch like Daigo play online, which he does constantly, you can. Like, it's not a mystery. So when you see the idea of like, oh, well, what will Daigo do against only international competition right now is super hype, but locally these guys play each other all the time, and you can find out that they do, right?
Yeah, you definitely can. I think the thing that kind of stops that is just the fact that people are lazy. And CFN is not exactly very user friendly, in my opinion, at least. So you have to kind of put in a little bit of work to find those replays.
Yeah,
or go on YouTube. Like most people just go on YouTube, honestly. That's why all those videos are so popular and whatnot.
Yeah. And then, so what I mean by that is, I feel like when we used to play, I'd say, man, I have no idea if I can beat Commander Jesse. Can't wait to go to SoCal. Can't wait to fight this guy in tournament, right? Now it's like, dude, I play Commander Jesse every week, dude. I can't beat that guy. I'm not talking shit to him. Dude. That guy is good. He's legitimately good because I played him 50 times. Like, I played, you know what I mean? Like, well, in Street Fighter 4, it was like impossible because everyone was playing together, right, at the arcade, because there's still arcades, right? If you imagine there's still an arcade. And sessions were super important. And then tech was super hidden. So you had to go to a session to get tech. Now YouTube's so easy, you could just get tech from YouTube. So the things that you need to even mechanically play the game are like available. And so like a lot of the draw to go to a local is lower.
That's a good point.
And I feel like the hype around the game is just like respective to that. Because when we talked about it before, Terry would say for Akuma, right? He's like, oh, we don't know how good Forwood is. It's like, because you've only seen results and you've seen like 2 videos or something, you don't know, right? But any interested person who's actually interested, who can leap over the hurdles, dude, I can look at Forwood's games all day. And I'll tell you exactly what to do. But and then can we transition to Tommy Guns? Can we talk?
Of course.
There was no footage on that guy, dude.
I think Leo brings up a good point though, in that back then, information was lacking, so there was a bit of a curiosity. And so when you hear about, a quote unquote top player in your area is attending this local, and it's like 20 minutes away, maybe an hour away. San Jose was like an hour away, 45 minutes away from me. I wanted to go out because I wanted to see these players at this Super NorCal Regionals, but instead I got left with Anthony.
This really did turn to the rotation.
I'm sorry, Kevin.
Here we go.
No, but seriously speaking, it's like, because there was a lack of information back then, and I want to go. I legit forgot who I wanted to go out and see at Super NorCal Regionals, but Anthony did stick out to me, and I did want to meet him at one point. So I'm not roasting him. I'm just saying that's what I got. But
you got stuck with me. Yeah, I got it.
But
it's okay, Kevin. It's okay. You can admit it. It's totally fine.
It's a nightmare, I know, Kevin. I know what it's like to be stuck with Crackfiend.
Before we get into it, Anthony was probably the highlight of that trip for me. for and my personal opinion, that was my first major. He's heard this before. That was my first major, and he was the person that really stood out. And
Only
I wouldn't.
because he was the only one left.
What? What does
Only
that
because
mean?
Crackfiend
by
was
the
the
way-
only one left. Couldn't find Leo. Couldn't find John Choi.
Is this the way he's describing it? I know we can't see Kevin's face, so let's just all imagine it's full
Oh
of a nammer for Crackfiend, right? I'm imagining he's
Okay,
by
now you're-
himself. He has his, he's doing this pose of his, just holding himself, and then Kevin saying, "Something's drawing me to that man. I should go to him." Because I can't imagine the way he's describing it. It sounds like there's no one in the entire building. It's just you.
man.
It's just you.
Let me
And
take
you're
a look
being
at my
hit by a
list of
spotlight.
people.
It's like, where's
right
everybody
here
at?
NCR. This guy's busy. Oh, he's talking to a chick. Oh, he's at the bar busy. Oh, look at this loser. Let's go talk to him.
Okay, no, okay. So before we get there, what I'm saying is that because, like I keep saying, there was a lack of information because of my curiosity, and I wanted to meet some of these people. I ended up meeting some other people that I wouldn't have expected to meet. And I think back then that was kind of like the beauty of going out to locals. Nowadays, you can kind of figure out who exactly is at this tournament, and if no one's name pops up that kind of attracts your eye, you'll be like, okay, I shouldn't go out.
There's no competition here, or maybe I'll go just to snipe the tournament. We'll see.
People can
Tournament
be people
sniping
can
was
be
a real
picky.
thing, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
It still is, honestly.
I mean, Bisu and I do it. Bisu, me and Reggie do it. So
Oh, I know all about Bisu, dude. Bisu has no shame. Bisu has no shame.
oh, third strike tournament, $200.
Oh,
I'm
yeah?
there.
$5
that's a
entry?
thing?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, dude.
On the real though, in terms of why does NorCal suck, I think there's, again, like I said earlier, there's it's a very complex topic. But if I had to sum it up,
In terms of Street Fighter, just to be clear, I'm just
okay, in terms of Street Fighter, I think it's just in general, honestly, and I think it's because of the lack of value in locals compared 10 years ago to today. Right? I think there's a lack of value in locals compared to esports circuits that are being brought to life, so to speak,
Yeah.
by corporate. So I think that devalues locals and demotivates these top players to play as often in locals. Not saying that top players never go to locals. It just, I don't think you don't see the frequency of it happening as much as it did back in the day.
Also, there's a little bit of a difference too, right? I heard,
Mhm.
I overheard a sentence, or I've heard a story about.
Nice.
I
like where this is going.
No, it's okay. It's fine. What is the most famous guy? He plays cross-handed. He didn't like cross Tekken. He's one of my favorite commentators.
Ooh, oh man.
Is that skill? Skill?
Yeah,
I can't be hit.
Seth
Can't be hit.
Killian.
Oh, that dude. Yeah.
Mm.
Seth Killian said, "Oh, John, you raised your kids the wrong way."
Yeah.
I've never
And
heard
what he
of
was
this,
talking
actually.
about
I've never
was-
heard of this.
Yeah.
Who he was speaking about was
Mm.
Filipino champ Ricky Ortiz and
Oh boy. Oh,
somebody
Oh,
else.
man.
And I don't mean
Somebody
whatever you're
else.
thinking, but what I can't remember who the third kid is. There's 3 kids.
Harji?
I'm sorry. I should have gotten that.
Harji.
No, it wasn't
Oh,
Harji.
shit.
There's another one, but basically
Oh, my God.
the top players of our time during Street Fighter 4, they weren't raised to grow the scene, right? So when in 2003,
yeah.
what is my introduction? I have to go to somebody's place and play, but then I want to do something. So like, oh, help us run the bracket or help us do this thing. It's like I'm immediately part of putting it together. And so
Right.
part of, John was a person who put together NCR, right? He's a
Right.
champion who's also a champion of community,
Yes.
right? Valle is a champion who's also a champion of community, right? And
Yeah.
so then they hopefully have either carried the torch as VIA might be doing, or in other cases they're just carrying the torch and there isn't a crowd behind them for whatever reason. So we needed like if we
You
and
need
John's still
community
around
leaders
too. And
then.
by the way, they're still not gone. But
Right.
of the toppest players, the high of our highest level players, there isn't they're not exactly just funding all the tournaments and all this other stuff like maybe we thought, because John wanted to give up, as you guys know, like NCR needs to be handed over to someone at some point before John dies.
Damn, don't say
Damn, you say it like that.
He just got married 2 years ago, bro. Like,
Well, I mean, eventually he's gonna have a kid. It's like,
oh, that's
shit.
no, that's when everything goes. Yeah.
well, I mean, you just have like a yeah.
Is that what happens
no.
when you have a kid?
Yeah, because you need someone who loves the game to run the tournaments all the time. Like actually loves it. Doesn't
Yeah.
want to be famous. Doesn't want to do whatchamacallit. Their whole goal is to like the scene is my goal, period. Even if they take losses, which John did many years over and
Yeah.
over.
Oh yeah.
If he
Yeah.
wasn't such a successful person outside of fighting games, maybe he'd have to quit, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Agreed.
I mean, I think eventually it'll come down to that. I mean, I'm sure someone will take up the reins in some shape, way, or form. May even be in this call, but I mean, it's hard to replace someone like that, though, right? I mean, it sounds bad, but it's like once you do make a good point. Like once you have a kid, it does change a lot. Like for example, I think like Rick is a good example right now, because Rick is the Hotto, so he's married now. I'm sure he'll have a kid eventually. So
He
someone's
already
gonna
has
have to take over
already has a
Combo
kid.
Breaker.
Already has a kid.
Oh yeah, he does have a kid. Yeah, that's right. Duh.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
he literally just said on Twitter yesterday he's taking a step back. Yesterday
Oh,
or 2 days
really?
ago. Mhm.
Okay.
He's taking a step back from a lot of the stuff because of family.
So someone's obviously gonna have to step up for that
Who knows?
community at least.
You have to raise your Padawan. Is that the right nerd term?
Yeah,
I don't.
I guess.
Padawan.
Are we supposed to use Japanese terms? I forgot. Kohai. Is that it?
Kohai.
You're adding.
Oh my
adding
god, dude.
You know,
Well, I'm not sure which
Apprentice.
apprentice. Yeah, we don't even use the regular American terms. We're always using like anime shit. And so like recently I've been using Sifu.
No, don't use that. Don't use that. Anything but that, dude. Don't use Sifu.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But so anyway, that's the point. Like it's almost like just like anyone's job, right? Some of us have been doing that. You always have to have like a right-hand person to run the second part of the stuff, right? And then you imagine that person might take over for you.
yeah.
So John didn't have anyone that he was raising necessarily, besides maybe Terry, and then Terry just like gone, right?
Mhm.
And so Terry didn't raise anyone after that. It was like Harji and myself and Justin Falcomist,
Yep.
and we
yep.
ran some. Just in that line, John has many children, which is I'm assuming you, Anthony, right? You the son? Are you a direct descendant?
Half ascendant.
Adopted child.
The scorned son.
So yeah, I ran one Hadouken and
you
Harji
did?
ran. Yeah, I did 4. And
What year was
then I fucking can't remember. Like,
Oh my! This is why it's not.
Don't ask us
The
to
1
remember.
year I ran, I can't remember it.
Oh,
We've
like,
been in the scene for like 18 years. We can't remember a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Right.
It's the cobwebs or something. Right, I was the year before we got the boba sponsorship, so I was outside of that one. So
So
that
we
one
can
was-
only
I
remember
wish
the
I was at that
landmarks.
one.
Can never
Yeah.
remember the years.
Yeah, mine was a transition year. So we had we had that. Mine was maybe the second or the last year that they had Capcom. We had a Capcom Cup, and then we'd have players come in from Capcom Cup at mine.
Yeah.
So Ryan Hart was there.
Oh,
All
Capcom
all those
25th
guys,
anniversary.
F-word, all those guys were there.
Yeah.
I ran that one.
That one.
Oh, really? That was pretty big too.
Yeah, Terry was teaching me how to do the stuff. There's a lot of stuff there. I mean, he was also teaching Harji. That's why Harji and them Harji knows more than I do. Period. Because Harji knows all the mechanics because he did so much of the mechanics.
Mhm.
I knew all the I focused a lot on things I would focus on, right? If you know me, I do a lot of people stuff.
Yeah.
So I have to go work with trying to get someone who can't sell a t-shirt to sell a t-shirt at our event.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I'm saying? So then things like that. All the contract stuff, and then trying to make sure people do things. So get all the machines and do all the stuff for free.
Right.
So that stuff's hard. So I think, but after that, it's just Anthony and them who's run all the good events after that. Well, don't want to say good events. All the larger, more popular events.
Yeah. There's the right one. There's the right term for it.
Yes, the most popular events were run after high production value too, super good. So I know we were supposed to talk about our favorite local to attend, but can we talk about our favorite mini major to attend? Do you guys like mini majors? I love mini majors.
I love things that are a spectacle, in my opinion, and I think mini majors are a spectacle, and I love them.
Yeah,
I think we need more of them.
So
Higashi, what's a mini major?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to know what you guys thought. What is considered a mini major for NorCal then?
Sencal send-off.
Oh, Sencal. No, that's a.
a
major.
Is it full on? I mean, back then
it's a CBT tournament.
CBT ranking now.
Oh, does anyone remember Battle by the Bay 5?
Yes.
The 5v5 tournament?
Yes.
Oh, that was the 5v5 regional tournament. That was sick. I think that was really good.
Were you part of that team too, Leo? On the Battle of the Bay?
South
I forget.
Bay?
I can't remember.
Oh, Peninsula. It was Peninsula.
No, the organizing team.
Organizing? 100%. Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool. I just can't remember. It's been that long, right?
Yeah. When it comes during that era, anything connected to Terry, I was helping with.
Yeah, because I was helping with that too. Yeah, so we were probably all on the same team for all those things. I just can't remember shit.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm just pouring tea, guys. I can't focus.
No worries.
I just like the fact that everyone wrote off North Bay as a weak invasion. Yeah.
I'll put it this way, right? If I think that if we had more spectacles like that brought people together that we wanted to root for and root against, I think that would bring some of that. Not all of it. I think it would bring some of that drive back, right? I think more experiences, less. We're basically churning out tournaments as a product now.
Yeah.
And it's sort of what's the word here? It sort of makes it dull. I don't really have a better way to say it, right? It's like tournaments are a fucking product that are dull as hell.
It's kind of just a place for everyone to hang out now, in a sense, as opposed to getting actually getting better.
Yeah.
Let's talk about let's talk about favorite local, and I'm gonna use this to say what I don't like about some other things.
Currently or of all time?
Favorite local of all time.
All time.
All time. Favorite local of all time.
So let's just put it out right here. And I know you guys are all wrong, so I'm gonna tell my opinion first.
Oh my god.
Here we go.
All right.
Is this gonna be some boomer opinion?
Yes.
That probably is.
Okay.
So go get your history book out, Higashi.
Oh my god.
Let the old guys talk.
Yeah, I'm gonna have boomer opinion too.
So SRK X Factor is the best tournament they've ever lived, ever.
Why?
And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. Number one, special events and grudge matches. We had special events and we had grudge matches. We made JP. Who is
we made JP?
Okay, we made Jab Drunk do push-ups in a overly crowded area inside of an arcade. We had regular.
Is that why
matches.
everything's happening right now? Is that what's going on, dude?
We had regular beef matches all the time, and we would be reviewing a lot of the commentary and the feedback, and then we make sure that there was not going to be random. As often as possible, we made sure that Marcos was not on that mic.
Oh my god.
We were so stupid. It was quality control. There's a lot of that. Okay, so let me tell you the opposite of how I feel.
Come
on. And by the way, we also owned it, right?
Right.
Remember, Remember what's his name?
What's
You got to
his
be a
name?
boss, right? You got to be your own boss. And so for the current situation we're having in terms of churning out tournaments, I feel like everybody's sharecropping for Valle right now. And I don't like it so much because we want to do a special event. Gotta go check with the leader. You want to change the times? Gotta go check with the leader. You want to do something different? Gotta check with the leader.
For you. I'll validate it for you. True. So I do not like that.
Yeah, that's all. That's the thing. I think that took the NorCal out of the NorCal tournaments. So when you say NorCal sucks, I don't know what you're talking about because I see SoCal inside of Oakland. Every time we had our sessions in South Bay, I was having a great time. When I went to Anthony's place and we were celebrating, what did we celebrate? You had that delicious meat.
I fucking forgot what we were celebrating, but we were celebrating
something, and we were eating and we're playing video games and stuff. I don't think NorCal sucks at all. I think we all like each other. We all want to hang out.
No,
I just think that, to Anthony's point, if we are churning out tournaments, that means we're not churning out our event. Like I like the special events we did. By the way, the Saturday ones that we've done that we had more control over, I think those were nice.
Well,
I like
one
those.
thing especially is that the amount of exposure that we have for the NorCal scene is pretty small compared to other regions, right? Like Level Up series on Twitter, that has pretty good reach. And then
I mean, you
Team
can argue
Spooky-
that, but sorry to interject, right? But I have to say this. But we had I Play Winner.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Did we have I Play Winner when Street Fighter 5 came out though?
No, not when Street Fighter 5. Back in 4.
But we
Really
were
cool.
NorCal was like the pioneers for all of that shit.
Yeah.
So
Leo, please.
But
go
I
ahead.
mean, what does that mean nowadays though? Like you can start something, but if you're not relevant, like what good does it really do you at the current moment?
So you're right, but you guys, it's like we had I Play Winner. We still have I Play Winner.
It's still there
because I Play Winner made deals with Spooky. Spooky is I Play Winner.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what are we talking
Most
about?
people don't know that.
What we don't have is when we had X Factor. Do you guys remember why we had X Factor on Thursday? Do you guys know why? Because Valle needed to have Wednesday, so we had Thursday. So we had to make Thursday work.
Yeah,
we couldn't have it the same day.
And then Valle.
Well, if you're all having your streams on the same day, how's that going to work in NorCal? Do you know how hard it is to have conversations? Or me and Terry finding out that you have 7 tournaments that weekend, and everyone's arguing about what time they're going to be, and they're in 7 different places in the Bay Area.
Yeah,
shit. But we got no say with what day we want to do the tournament on in NorCal. We got to make sure it's buried underneath the other 5 Wednesday night fight streams.
Yeah.
What is this? I don't know what the prices that we're getting on this value, but like, if we wanted exposure, we'd have to take more control over production. We'd have to think about making the events be more clippable, right? Like have more like, this is only in Oakland. This is only over here. Instead, we became like this like kind of generic reproduction of something because NWC has its own soul, and Wednesday night fights in SoCal has its own soul, and Oakland's like a copy.
We were supposed to have Clash of what?
Clash at the Arena.
Clash at the Arena, right?
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Oh my god.
So that's why I originally hopped on board. With that hype train, right? Because NorCal has its own day. We have a venue space, and I'm back. I'm down to play. I'm down to help out wherever, like help cultivate, right? And no, not to Valle, right? But when he came in and sold the idea to everyone, right, to the team, I was just sitting there and I was just like, yo, this is it.
What?
Like this is it. This is it. Like we're at this point we're just taking what we could get now because we can't compete with SoCal with that slot time. We can't.
No, it's unfair.
Yeah. But I still took the job graciously, and I still took the opportunity, right? And without it, I wouldn't have been able to actually want to become a production streamer. But still, it was a big hit, for us, right? And And,
I'll
and
put
the,
it this
and the
way,
fact that we
right?
can't find another day to host these events or find another venue, it's kind of rough, right? So yeah.
You were
The
saying, Anthony?
whole. Oh,
I
yeah, go ahead.
I just want to put it this way, right? The team took a chance on working with WNF, right? I think I'm not speaking for the team, but I think there was an idea of collaboration being a possibility, right? Because I think ultimately there's the idea of we want to collaborate with more people to make things grow. Whether that becomes um, the vision that turns into reality is a different story. I think it just didn't pan out as easily as everybody had thought, and kind of to Leo's point, I think some of that was some of the NorCal people losing some of the control on the say, and that's something that I'm extremely personally I'm extremely disappointed in that personally, and I say that from the fact that I love NorCal and I love what we're able to do and we're able to push a vision.
Right.
But I think this is one of the few times where I think we actually made a mistake on this, and this is not bias or anything like that of the matter, right? I think it's just a matter of we made a choice, and I think we just made the wrong choice.
If anything, it was a godlike move on live.
Yeah, it
'Cause,
was.
like-
It was.
Well, thing is, because it's like
power move.
he said it to us himself, right? Like our numbers are like usually a lot stronger, like in their slow times, you know. And I've been to WNF slow times, and they were fucking slow. And it does show the fact that NorCal can show up. It's just we need a different day, dude.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think different day, slightly different content. I can't go to some of the other stuff, but just things that are slightly different in terms of decision making. I think would have been very beneficial, especially
Right.
with the guys in NorCal taking more control over
Right.
all operational decisions.
Mhm.
That, in my opinion, would have been the most beneficial factor in making this all work out. So I'm hoping in the future, like for me, I don't really do much WNF stuff anymore.
It doesn't matter what you
But all I think
think.
about until COVID-19 shelter in place is ending, right? All I think about is like, what are some things we can do to elevate community experiences? And that's where like some of the food stuff with delicious content kind of comes in, right? Like I want to create more, I want to make more cool stuff for us. I just want to like I love hanging out with you guys. I love drinking with you guys, and I love eating with you guys. So why can't I make more of the stuff that I've been making and share it with our community? And have some of those people in our community share some of their work with the rest of the community. Like these types of things that make us so unique and so special. This is more of the stuff that I want to see come out of NorCal rather than this churned out piece of shit product. Not to say WNF is a piece of shit. It's
right.
just
It's a
As soon
corporate
as
product.
COVID is over, like I want to do a cookout type of thing, like
Hell
just
yeah.
hang out, like not even.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't really need to play, like, but we have
No.
so many people. I went to, I think JP, you went to this too, right? The Starbase reunion thing.
Starbase reunion? No, I did not.
Oh,
I unfortunately couldn't make it.
I meant North Bay reunion. It was like that. You
North
didn't go to
Bay?
the one with Josh?
Josh, no.
Oh, geez. Oh, wow. It was great.
Yeah.
Like Los came out, Demon Los, those guys?
Yeah.
All those guys came out. We had a great time.
I just remember being there during the end of the YME Dojo days. That's it.
We
Yeah.
had a Honda only tournament. I know.
Sounds horrible.
It was terrible. The point is everybody wants to hang out still, right? There's still like a lot of like nature for that. And as soon as like we're able to do it at my company, we're not really returning back to offices until like 2021. So I'm assuming that that'll probably be when it's more safe. I'd love to, try to partner up with people, maybe Anthony, we can work together on trying to work on it. At the minimum, I can help try to finance it, obviously, right? And we can put people together.
I guess I'll throw some stuff your way because I came up with the model that I don't think you'll need to finance it to be honest with you.
Oh, is it? We're gonna
It
get
is.
some other group to do it, like via.
No. I can't share it on here because it's a model that I made with some.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But the model definitely made sense and it worked as a POC already. So I want to try and duplicate this model again for future events because this also built an ecosystem or injects more money into the FGC ecosystem while giving money back to the community.
Yeah.
Sounds
FGC
interesting.
dispensary.
But
All right.
I think we kind of this is a
Anyway.
good discussion. But what Leo was trying to do when he was trying to take over my show, so he wanted to bring up the favorite locals. and he brought up his. So I'm curious what you guys' favorite locals for NorCal is. All right, let's start off with let's see Kevin. I haven't heard Kevin in a while.
Starbase. Starbase was definitely the thing for me. It felt cozy. It felt I don't know. It was like a little hole in the wall, and all the good players went there. I met a lot of my good friends there that I'm still friends with today, and the competition was pretty good, in my opinion. At least on the Marvel side. Um, I would have said SRK X Factor, but I don't want to bring this up.
Who made you?
Let me say this. I'll say this, and this is not shitting on X Factor directly, but I think X Factor was the start of the divide in all fighting game communities in NorCal because of the incident. You
The
know what
incident?
I'm talking about.
We can't talk
Incident?
about the incident because
How-
we'll
how
take over
rated R
Higashi's
is it?
podcast.
Rated X.
Oh man.
The incident's
All
crazy.
right, we can talk about it after the podcast then.
Yeah,
Okay,
after.
okay, but it's
happened.
amazing.
We
That
could talk
happened
about
right
that here.
after the.
We
that happened
could.
right after the hot dog incident.
We could, but I'd rather not.
Yeah.
No, we don't want to.
Actually, that happened. I think that happened during the hot dog incident.
Yes. It's exactly.
Hot dog
That's why I
incident.
remember it.
Same day.
Yeah, same day.
Same
Because I
day.
ended up at your apartment the same night when you and Terry were talking about it with Jay.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Oh my
And
god!
that's when I met you guys.
All right. We gotta cut out.
Like,
This topic.
okay, cool.
Cut,
so hot-
we just
Okay.
can't. We'll save it for some other future time.
This has to be
Yeah.
bar time talks. This can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
Go on, sorry.
all right, well,
Starbase.
so
Starbase.
hmm
I
so
love
has
Starbase.
anyone else been to Starbase then? I
yeah,
haven't
right.
because
I have.
Oh yeah.
And the
Definitely
guy.
okay,
Yeah.
Jay's my boy, man. Jay Nguyen.
okay.
He's the homie.
Yeah. So let me tell you something about Starbase. I want to do one sentence. I think is really good. Starbase is the only place where you have to play next to me doing commentary on a stool, yelling down into you.
Oh yeah. Yes.
And people want
Yes.
10 feet around their matches these days. Play at
Yes.
Starbase
Yeah.
on a half broken chair,
Oh,
getting
A
yelled at by
half-broken
two guys with
chair.
free mics.
yeah.
Poverty
Or
time,
have
dude.
or have CJ and Vidon breathing, or CJ and Roger Dodger, or Magus and Roger Dodger on the mics going
Oh
at
my
it against
God.
each other while you're trying to play. Oh my goodness! All drunk too.
Okay.
We don't talk about that, but anyways,
All right,
Anyways.
so Starbase,
Starbase.
Kevin. Let's Anthony, do you want to say something?
Let me just go to my favorite local of all time.
All right, so
quick.
JP. Yeah.
Go ahead, JP. Go ahead, JP. Hey, Higashi's in charge
yeah,
here.
my favorite local of all time is Starbase.
Oh no, you messed it up.
But yeah, my favorite local of all time
I
was
don't
was
think
the
anyone hates Vinny. He's a fun, funky guy.
That deserves to
There we go. Oh my god, you messed everything up now.
oh, man,
Oh no, did it mess up the whole
Oh, there we go. There we go.
podcast?
Oh,
We're
man.
good. We're good. Anthony just just
so-
being a jerk right now.
I might.
No, so you were JPBreganza, but
Okay.
now I'm JPBreganza. Yeah, thankfully, yeah, right. Anyways, Starbase. That was the tournament to go to. I remember like getting picked up by Jay. And I'm like, fucking what? 9 p.m. Tournament starts at 10. Don't go home till like 3, 4 in the morning, just because we were just like playing and kicking it the whole time. And like that was just like the place to go, you know, at the time. And all the best players were there, you know, and it was a show. Like whenever you had Magus, Roger Dodger, Nadal, and like all the other guys on commentary, it was crazy. It was just like, because what drew me to wanting to go to like those tournaments that were being streamed actually was like the craziness of what you call it, Keystone. So the craziness of Keystone, add on to the fact that that, you know, I had to learn how to play in front of these guys. I had to learn how to play in front of a tough crowd. But the fact that the camaraderie came a whole lot after those games and that shit talk was what drew me the most. You know, like I'll say this at most, right? SoCal was where I learned to be a better player. NorCal was where I learned to be a better person. You know, so
Damn.
yeah. Even though there were a lot of us that were like going crazy
I
and
mean, I think that's fair.
being nothing but a bunch of shitheads, right? At the time, it was still a fun ride, you know. Like
Nice.
I carry NorCal, you know. I carry the name of NorCal to this day wherever I play, you know. So it's always fun because of the history behind those tournaments, behind those quote unquote incidents and those moments that I have with everyone that I've met so far. So yeah.
I miss you too, JP.
Yeah, I miss you too, man. I so yeah, that's
Alright.
everybody, right? That's everybody.
I'm pretty sure you're supposed to let Anthony speak, but that's up to Higashi.
All right, so I'll let you guys know about my. No. All right, Anthony, go ahead, go for it.
Okay, is my camera lagging? It looks like it's lagging on my side.
It's
It's
a little
probably
laggy,
just a little
but
bit
we
of
can
your
hear you.
internet. It's fine though. Don't worry about it too much.
Yeah. It's not your internet's fault that CFN was terrible.
I think it's perfect for you.
Okay, so God damn it, guys. So, my favorite local of all time has to be none of what you guys had mentioned. Because when I think local, I think of the weekly that I would always go to back in 2003 at Milpitas Golfland, and that's when I first met Joe Flores, my buddy Jolie, Hui Tran, Philip Flores, not Philip Flores, Philip, I forgot his last name, Philip, and a couple other guys. Those were the guys that showed me family in the FGC. When I went to Sunnyvale, I was shunned. Whenever I asked how to play Marvel, those guys would never talk to me. And so I went to MGL, met these guys that didn't talk to me for 3 months, but all we did was compete against each other. But they welcomed me after that with open arms. And when I got good, when I went to Sunnyvale, that's when they respected me. Was when I got good. It wasn't. They didn't treat me with equality when I was a shitty player, and I'll never forget that. Even till this day, I've never forgotten that. And so these guys at Milpitas Golfland that we went to play with every single week that treated me like a younger brother, and they still feel like older brothers to me. I'm in the FGC to carry on that torch for them because that meant a whole ton for me. So those were my favorite weeklies because I got better not just as a player but as a person as well.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no, I mean that's a good
That's,
reason, dude.
It's amazing.
But
yeah.
You wanted to say something, Leo?
There is something to be said about, and I'm not gonna cry, but there is something to be said about being able to go to your local and it feels like it's your family, you know, like
Yeah.
I mean, for JP, maybe we were his fathers, but everybody else, you know, like we felt like brothers because we didn't have people that much older. Like JP's much younger than us,
Right.
Yeah.
so it was more like these are my older brothers. I'd have people like, you know, I was in 2003. I was new, right? So it's like it feels really nice because it feels like coming home. You know, that's why I can't wait till we have in-person events.
Oh yeah, dude. The first one is
it's
gonna
killing
be
me
great.
inside, man. It's killing me inside.
Same.
I can't wait.
It hurts.
But yeah, so I guess it's my turn to give my favorite local. So as I was
only
saying
have-
earlier, my first tournament was CTB, Turning the Butter, and that's what really opened up the floodgates for me in the FGC, and like the community is what brought me in, but I think it's like just as a whole the competition. I think Carolyn was also a big instrument for me to continue going because she was just such a great TO. And like I was saying earlier, she remembered who I was like after just a couple weeks, like the second week or something like that. And so that meant something to me as like, just as an individual. So I think it's really important to get to know your players, and it was a 100-man tournament as well. I was overwhelmed. I was like, what is this bar with these video games with all these drunk dumb people, and why do I love it so much? Like, why do I love this feeling? Why do I love this community, like, already? And, like, I've been watching it on Twitch and other, platforms and whatnot, but once you go in person, though, it's really hard to stop going. Especially when you go there because I had one friend, like, at that time in FGC, that was Paul, 86. I think Anthony knows him, but,
Yep, I do.
But yeah, I mean, I would just go with him every single time, and yeah, it was just I couldn't imagine myself. Oh crap, I can't imagine myself not going to tournaments, and if I feel like going to CTV trying to change my life in a lot of ways. But
To be honest, from you, myself, and Anthony, it sounds like our favorite locals were the ones that really left an impression on us or changed our lives in a way.
yeah,
Because like I said, they were our introduction, and that's where we met our first friends. So yeah, it makes sense that CTB was your favorite. And yeah, I wish CTB was around. I wish it didn't go out the way it did.
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I guess that's everyone's favorite locals.
Yeah.
Think so. We were talking about how trash NorCal is, right? We were talking about that for a good, I don't know, hour or
plus.
so.
I mean, it's still going, right? So
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
However, I want to hear what was so great about NorCal. So, I want you guys to give me a Mount Rushmore of NorCal.
Ooh,
It could be any sort of Mount
Rushmore?
Rushmore. It could be like, players, stuff like that. So, it can be anyone.
Hmm.
John
Um,
Choi for
yeah.
all categories.
I think John Choi is definitely on the Mount Rushmore of NorCal,
Yeah.
number one, in my opinion.
I say so too.
I think
Who would
that's
be your number
I
two?
think that's pretty agreed upon for the most part.
I mean,
I mean,
yeah,
we'll,
right.
we can all give our separate ones as well. I mean, but
Yeah.
I mean, Anthony, I'm curious who you would pick because you're the most veteran here. You have the most knowledge. You have the most grassroots. So you probably know more about the scene than all of us, possibly.
I'm only like maybe a couple months more than Leo. He's got the same
Maybe a couple months. Really?
Maybe. Maybe,
Yeah,
I'm
I started playing. I started trying to join the fighting game community. I love fighting games before I ever played in the arcade, but I played when I was 14 at the Davis arcade when I was doing my internship. I was doing like chemical stuff, whatever. But then when I finally went to college at Davis, then I went to the arcade and I got bodied by somebody. And I was like, this this guy's not good. And I just, and I got addicted to coming back.
Mm.
And that's like senior payaso. So that was 2003. It was literally like
man.
January.
Oh, 2003.
Oh,
Okay.
man. Oh my.
Senior Payaso.
Super good. But I never really was able to beat him. So there's no silver lining to that story.
Wait, what? Well, actually, I don't want to derail here. But yeah, Anthony.
Yeah.
top four?
I don't know what my next three are. So I know John Choi is in my number one for sure, right? Like,
Of course.
like he's not just a nice guy, but somebody who actually cares a lot about our scene and about the growth of our community. I don't know who else to put next to him because like it's sort of hard to match his caliber and his accolades, so to
Right.
speak.
I mean, he can be at the top, obviously. I mean, it's any who was the top
Honestly,
four
I don't-
people that
I don't
came to your
have-
mind?
I don't have a top four because nobody. If I had to
You're
put
your
the
top
rest of my
three. I
top
see.
four,
Okay. Crackfiend
If
is
I had
top
to
three
put
and
a
Crack.
top four, and I would put some of the guys at MGL, but they're my heroes for different reasons and not because of being players. So I don't know if I'd be in that criteria. So some of those guys would be from the MGL crew that I was telling you about, Lopita's Golfland.
Okay.
That took me in and basically gave me this the NorCal spirit, right, of being a player and being the person that I am today.
Okay. So Crackfiend is undecided.
Undecided.
Leo,
Okay.
looked like you wanted to say something.
Yeah, so technically, if we just look at our history, which is even before us, so it's like a history
Yeah.
before us. It's kind of like
You can
I
look
guess
at
we
it as any way.
technically-
It's just a general question, basically. Like
Oh,
top four,
okay.
anything at all.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that isn't all the B3 the original before Evo is actually starting in NorCal, and so therefore it would be given to the Cannon brothers as like twins on this Rushmore.
Yeah.
And Mr. Wizard if we can fit, and then S-Kill. I mean, in theory, like they're the Hokages or whatever.
S-Kill was
Yeah, in
fun.
theory, they are the Hokage.
Am I wrong? And then John's like the
Oh,
fifth,
man.
right? He's the fifth, and then
Well,
like
we're talking about NorCal, right? I mean, Seth Killian was Columbus, right?
Columbus.
Wasn't he from
I
Ohio?
gotta go look up his genealogy.
Yeah, and then Wizard was from SoCal, I think.
Reserves of SoCal. Cannons are from the Bay Area.
Yeah,
The cannons are from the Bay Area. So does
yeah.
it require? But they brought
dang.
peace to the world. So I don't know.
We're talking about NorCal, Mount
So
Rushmore.
then I would
right?
just choose cannons, and that would be cool. Just put cannons and John on there.
I think that would be fine with me. Cannons and John. If you had to put somebody else as a player, I might even put one of the one of the Wolf brothers.
Oh
Mm.
jeez. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those guys were gods.
Yeah.
All right, so we got the OGs for Leo. JP?
I mean, I'm just gonna speak, I guess, from my time, I guess. So, I mean, it would be John Choi, right? Would be one of those heads. He actually little fun fact. He actually gave me the opportunity to shoot one of the Capcom Pro Tour's first years for Street Fighter 4. On stage for Street Fighter 4 back then. So I really thank him for that. And if it weren't for him allowing me to do that, I wouldn't have met Chris Seg, who helped push the scene in terms of bringing it into a whatchamacallit,
Next level production.
Yeah.
More professional.
Well, I mean, like a more mainstream, into a more mainstream light, right?
Right.
With his skills and resources, he was able to help push that for us, for our scene. Carolyn would be a good one too.
Carolyn is easily
like watching from from her starting off, back in South Bay to like where she is now. It's just like I think that's untouchable as well. And then I would just put the Cannon Bros on one body. And that'd be my four heads for Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, that's four. That's four heads. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those four were all important. In terms of progressing the scenes, not for just NorCal, but for the US and the world in general.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear lots of stories about what these people have done and what these people have accomplished and what they can do, and it's a lot of them are very uncomparable. And from player to from players to production to community organizers, I think they belong on that NorCal Rushmore.
yeah.
So yeah.
All right, that's JP's. Kevin?
So obviously John, obviously Carolyn. Carolyn's like the most recent for me. But I do feel that this is player wise, this is a package, and this is kind of a obvious one, but kind of you might laugh at it. I think for me personally, Bronson and Jimmy are my absolute favorite players. Actually Bronson was the one that inspired me to come into the FGC because
Really?
Yeah, because I did see a YouTube video of him one time where he won a match in another state, I believe. He took the California flag out of his backpack and he started running around the venue with it. And I was like, "Oh, this guy's from NorCal. This guy's really cool." He's my
This
hero.
guy's really cool. He's he's my hero.
Yeah. And then Jimmy, Jimmy's Jimmy. Jimmy's godlike and everything. But yeah, they're my Mount Rushmore. Of this is player wise. This last one, I don't want to bring up another topic, but I'm talking purely on just skill and hard work. Nothing in regards to their personality. I think
Okay.
Champ deserves my respect for players' skill because he put in a lot of work and he did help foster
Oh,
for the Marvel community.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I got to give respect to that in light of the recent events. Him getting banned.
I mean,
and all
respect is something that you give, regardless of status at the time.
that. Yeah, at the time.
Yeah. All we can give is respect now. Press F. Press F in the champ for F champ, everybody.
Shit! Oh my!
F for F champ. I don't.
my
Is
God.
that, what's wrong with that? Sorry.
Canceled.
This is your podcast that's getting canceled. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, the rest of
Oh
them.
no! All right. Dang, we have a tap copy in the chat too.
I remember F Champ coming all the way to Vallejo just for crack sessions.
Mhm.
Like, oh my goodness, and he would rage whenever he would lose. That's how crazy hungry he was. He'd go all the way to Vallejo just to play in a session. That's it. Like when everyone else is like south of us.
You know how hungry Champ was to learn matchups. He played me hard.
And he played you and Parker, and he would invite everyone to his house just to learn
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
tricks. From
He
everyone.
wanted to play every version of Balrog possible.
Yes.
He played against every player who played Balrog. You selected him on your screen somewhere in like Tracy, he's gonna be at your place. Like he wanted to master that matchup for some reason.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Champ,
that was like a bad matchup at Dawson at that time, right?
yes, and so Champ knew that matchup inside and out. And but I think since we're paying respects, I think that Champ was what do you call it? He was motivational at the time. Like I was also cool with Champ for a certain period of time.
Yeah.
And during that period of time, you didn't know anybody who worked harder. Like Yipes and them would even talk about how many hours he's spending during Marvel, and he spent the same type of time in Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
So in that regard, I respect his work ethic a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I agree. So Kevin, that's your Mount Rushmore then?
Anybody else?
No, we're all good.
I still have mine to say, but
Except for Higashi.
Well, this is a late candidate. Also,
Okay.
I was about to say Ricky, but we have so many good players, and I would put Ricky and Champ in like the same package. I'll add Anthony into there. I'll give him his due diligence. He is because regardless. No, I'll give you your praise because even though he might not have the accolades as those players, he is the he's the person that gets things going, and I really respect that. He's done that for the past 10 years that 12 years I've been in this community. So Anthony definitely deserves that. He is 100% Mount Rushmore.
Yeah. I remember my first conversation with Anthony. It was literally how we can make the scene better. Not just for tournament wise, but just people wise.
I mean, what is tournament without the people? It's just a bunch of hooligans.
So that's why I learned to be more personable with people coming into the scene, rather than just dusting them off as like a free win, right? or so to speak.
Right.
I mean, like that's how I was treated at first. So I thought it was the norm. But then
it's normal to just be shit on. It's
I mean, granted, I do have if I do have an opportunity to just shit on someone, I would shit on them. But outside of that,
Right.
like once that perspective was brought to me, I was just like, yo, this is
Mm.
this is
Okay.
literally what I've been looking for, So
Right.
So,
So that's Kevin's. I'll give mine then. So mine is gonna be based on my time. So the 016 or plus. So first one, I have to give it to these two. It's the power couple of NorCal. It's LPN and Rose. I think these two do a lot for the community right now, and
Yep. That's very good.
they especially like during the whole WNF time, because you would see Rose running around like everywhere, trying to make sure everything is perfect, making sure everything is going smoothly, and then you have LPN running events, trying to make things happen, trying to get more people in the scene known, getting more stream time and whatnot. So
while he's taking your money in Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, yes.
Yeah, I have to agree. Especially like I was saying earlier, some of the best events we had outside of Wednesday night fights, obviously with PH the whole thing,
Right.
but Rose, Rose was so instrumental, at least from my perspective, from working with her. She wants so much to get done, and her bar for success is so high that it's so, I don't know, just a beautiful thing to experience, right? Because not everybody is that into it.
yeah, she's very passionate.
Yeah,
Very passionate about it.
Rose is great.
But yeah, so the second one, I have to agree with like you two, JP and Kevin, that Carolyn definitely deserves to be on there. She was like I was saying earlier about Foundry and CTV, how she was like one of the main reasons that I would just keep coming back and made it feel more memorable. So, I mean, yeah, I already talked about Carolyn, but yeah, Carolyn definitely she made a difference in more ways than one for a lot of people in NorCal, especially for the Street Fighter 5 times. I mean, she did NorCal Rivals as well. That was great. I remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that, you guys may or may not know this guy, but it's Brett. Hella Brett, the anime dude.
Brett. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So in my time during like when I was trying other like anime games like BB Tag, Under Night, Dragon Ball, I didn't know who Brett was until I went to Dogfights, and seeing him like just work constantly for I don't even know how long the event was. It was a super long event. He was just behind the computer screen for an incredibly long time, and I was like, who is this guy? Why is he working so hard, and what is he doing? I had no idea who he was at the start, but like now that I do, it's like, yeah, I think he does a lot for the NorCal scene, just in general. And next, I had to give it to Crackfiend. I don't know why I just I'm just kidding. No, Crackfiend, he taught me a lot actually throughout the entirety of the last couple years. He was like one of the first people to actually teach me fundamentals for Street Fighter, because like up until like maybe 2 years ago, I kind of just played the way I wanted to play, the way I thought was right. And since I was new, obviously it's not the right way to play. I played Mika too. I just went in, command grabbed. I don't care, whatever, screw it. It's all good. Just another notification. But and like throughout the time that I've been a part of like Ronin Rumble as well, he's made a huge difference for me personally, and he's made a big difference for a lot of people in that community as well. So, and we're not even done yet, so there's more to come. But yeah, that's why I think Anthony deserves to get that recognition, even though he may or may not deserve it. So.
Hey, since we have our own Rushmore guy here, can we clap or something? What are we supposed to do? Congratulations, Crackfiend.
We can just say that he is an okay player and he's not washed up at all. And that's about it.
Okay enough to almost win the a reverse LCV at Evo.
Right.
Almost.
I remember that. God.
Oh man, I saw that and I was like, "Oh my god, is this guy really gonna run it back?" And then he lost. I was like,
And then he
"Oh,
lost.
this scrub."
See, this sounds more like usual. This is more like what
Man.
all that early praise and all that stuff was just a setup.
Makes it all the sweeter, man. That's how
dude.
you get it. That's
Yeah,
why
no,
it's
it's
called a
like-
setup.
This is rather
Yeah, dude,
suspicious.
you can barely
All these
defend yourself.
compliments.
But
It's very suspicious.
Man.
don't worry
We're
about
just
it, dude.
killing
All right,
frames
so
and whipping those two.
so
Yeah.
we all can agree that John Choi is one of the greatest of all times, right?
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, he's won tournaments. He's done so many events that it's I can't even imagine. Do you guys think that John Choi in his prime of like Alpha 2 and 3 and whatever the other games that he played like CBS 2, do you think that John Choi could actually win Evo in Street Fighter 4 or even Street Fighter 5?
I mean,
Win Evo?
Win
That's
Evo.
tough. Ooh.
I mean, he's been Daigo in Ultra.
Can I mean, John has won 2 titles at Evo at the same year.
Yep.
Same
Yeah.
He's
year.
younger. So
Yeah,
are
he
we
did.
saying we time traveled that John to 4 and 5?
To
and then we...
now. So like
Oh, yeah,
I
like,
mean,
John has- John is
to the
insanely
two-
good.
Street Fighter
Yeah.
4 and 5, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You would say so?
You copy his
Easy.
attributes and stuff, and he hits the same reaction time.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like John's
It's-
like John can still make people look stupid.
Yeah.
I think it's an easy answer here, man. John Prime is one of the best players that I've ever seen exist. I've never seen a guy with the kind of not just the smarts and the intuition, but then that legendary fireball game that everybody talks about. I studied that shit on tape so many times. I could never ever duplicate it. Whereas I've watched so many other players and duplicate it to close to 100, but not
Right.
John. John is the only person I've studied left and right and can never ever figure out what he's thinking 100%. Like that guy's logic is somewhere else.
And the worst part is that when you test him, he goes,
Yes.
"Why did you do that?" He goes, "Why did you do that?" And then you ask, "What am I supposed to do?" And he goes, "Well, you could just block or do nothing and wait and just wait." Yeah, that's literally what he tells me. And it's just like, God, because like it's so. Well, the thing is that his thought process was so simplistic and so complex at the same time. Because like there were always layers behind it. And if you just watch him, like if you just watch those Evo runs that he did, it was a sight to see. Because like never in my life would I ever be that never in my life would I ever show that kind of patience, and layer so many traps for my opponent to fall for, round by round.
Not to mention, like, even on top of those layers, that dude still had the intuition. Like, so many people who try to play it, like, so logically, what do they lose? They lose intuition because they try to play it to a scheme.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
But then he has the scheme and his intuition. And then you're like, I'm just fucked. I'm just gonna lose.
Yeah. So I mean, for some context, right?
Yeah.
In Street Fighter 4, 25th anniversary tournament, you guys remember that?
Yeah.
As I like to, I don't like to talk about myself too much. You guys know me. I went 2-2 with Daigo and casuals, Balrog versus Ryu. John, I'm never going 2-2 at his house. I can't even like I don't know what it is, but John can figure who you are in like a second.
Yeah.
And he's like outplaying you. And so Harji is as good as Daigo. But John is like, you know what I'm saying? Like me
Oh my
saying that,
God.
me practicing what Harji prepared me for Daigo, but me playing against John prepares me for nothing. John is his own entity in the world. He's like some kind of omega being. So yeah, so I don't know. Maybe he blessed me too many times, but I'm a true believer.
I'm a believer. I'm never not going to be a believer of John.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it though. Like for me, I've never seen John Choi play, like in person at least. I've only seen videos of the legends that you would talk about John Choi, but like
And
I've
you've never
never
played
really
against
seen him
Sean
play
either,
though.
huh?
No, I've never played never played against John.
Don't.
No,
It would just make you
Like
feel
the right
terrible
answer.
about
Like, here's your
yourself.
self-esteem. It's like, I think I'm pretty good, man, and it's gone.
John,
Uh,
John's ridiculous. You know what? You know what's John's best button? Neutral. Just standing there.
Yep.
yeah, I
Yeah.
remember
Like,
the
oh
yeah, I remember the
I-
iconic set that he had with Mamochi. I think it was like
Yeah.
2015.
It was
Something like that?
2014, 2015.
2014? Yeah, that match. That match, I could watch that multiple times in a row, and I was just like, I still don't understand what's going on. Like the amount of footies and mind games going in that, which is so crazy.
Yeah. Like he didn't go in and out. He just stayed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the only reason that like he would lose most of his sets these days is just execution.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh my god.
You mean it's stubbornness then? Because he's still using the sticks we used in 2003?
Is
Like
he?
literally from the board? No,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
plays on the ground whenever he shows up.
He always
Always
sits
on
on
the
the
floor.
Yeah, his back durability has gone down to like 1 out of 100. So
Do you even know what a Moss stick is, Higashi?
I've seen it. I've seen it like
Okay.
I've seen
In the
reviews
museum.
on it and shit like that, but I've never seen it like at like
You?
everyone using it in a line and but I mean I've seen like a little bit of it, not a lot though.
Parker said, if you want to beat John, put him on a Japanese stick.
This is true.
You know, make him play in a hitbox or something.
Dude, that man has a 4-pound spring. Oh my god.
It's 4 pounds? Oh my god.
Yeah. On an American hapstick.
yeah, back in the
So,
day,
what?
if you didn't play CVS2 for too long and then you came back to the arcade, my wrist was burning. And people would be like, "Oh, your wrist is burning? Ha ha ha." I'm like, "No, man, it's my left hand." And so like it was just like that all the time. Like the wrist is like you with those sticks, you have to work super hard just to play the game.
Yeah.
Mm.
Your whole arm.
Your whole arm.
Yeah.
His forearm must be weird now.
Oh,
So yeah, is it unanimous then, Higashi? Everybody thinks John could beat everybody?
It's hard for me to
Yes.
say because I haven't personally played him, and like I've played against like Fudo, I played against Tokido, I played against Punk, I played against all these great players that are in the modern era. That it's really hard for me to decide whether he could actually take a 2 out of 3 from or a 3 out of 5 from those guys. But I would be really interested to see like Punk versus John because like that's the youngin right there, and then John is the old man these days,
Mm.
and I'd be really
Like Kobe
interested to see
MJ?
that. But
Kobe
because they both
MJ.
have like really good neutral, so. But I mean, it's really hard for me to say. So I had to go on like my generation of I think that this modern players would probably end up beating John, but that's just because I don't have the experience against John. That's all.
Well, if only life had an edition select. Right, guys?
Yeah. An edition select. Oh man, dude, that'd be actually
Oh,
kind of dope. But
Imagine.
but yeah, I mean, I think you guys
Hyper-fighting
though all definitely agree that John Choi would take it though, right?
Yeah.
At least 1 year.
At least 1 year.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
hell, if Alex Valle could beat a prime Bonchan in a terrible matchup in Street Fighter 4,
Hmm.
you know, imagine what a prime Valle and John Choi could do to this era, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
mean,
it's something to think about, I mean,
I just leave it at that.
yeah. All right. So we talked about local events earlier as well, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And what do we do after locals? We go out and either drink and eat.
Mm-hmm.
Usually both.
Usually both. So, do you guys have any particular restaurants or bars that you guys really just could not go without after those locals?
FGC Denny's.
I was about to say I miss
FGC.
I was gonna say
FGC.
Denny's too.
Denny's. Oh
That
God.
was
Those were some times. Those were some times.
It's like, so if you think of it this way, we would pack up X Factor into a car, right, or 2 cars.
Yeah.
Then we have to drive the monitors back and drop them off, and then we're still going to Denny's,
Yep.
right? I definitely sacrificed my relationship at the time to keep going to FGC Denny's, dude. That Grand Slam was way better than Girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like I was trying to hang out, and I was trying to just hang out with my brothers. Basically, we're just trying to talk shit and see how we did, and talk about how we could have won that match. And oh yeah, man, that was a hard matchup. Let me just eat these hash browns. It was great. It was a great time.
Oh my god.
All right, so Leo, yeah, he just loves Denny's. It seems like a lot of people actually like Denny's.
That was
No, that's, yeah,
no,
that's,
I don't know.
I
why,
definitely remember
but
going to
that
Denny's
was-
like after other events, but
it wasn't that we loved it. It was the most available to us
Yeah, because we were
I mean, it's
always
like at
out.
what 3 o'clock in the morning.
because
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
well, check it, bro. Like we're out after you play at the arcades. You're out on the parking lot talking for like the next hour and a half about random shit,
Yeah.
right? You're either talking about the matches that you had, how practice felt, how was your day going, and then all of a sudden you're at Denny's at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the only place you go to.
like, and then you would still continue to talk about the match.
Yeah, yeah,
Like that was literally it. It would
yeah.
be-
Then you get home at 4 a.m, and
Yeah.
then you rinse and repeat the following week.
Yep. Well, I mean, for me, it was like get home 4 a.m, get my ass beat by my parents, and then move on with the rest of my week. Because I was like still in high school at the time. I couldn't drink with anybody. So yeah,
So is that like everyone's answer then?
yeah, Denny's.
that's literally it.
Just Denny's, man.
I mean,
Denny's.
Yeah,
It's all
I mean, how
about
could-
Denny's. Yo, let's go to Denny's after quarantine's over, right?
They know who we
Well-
are, man.
Well,
oh my
for
God.
for me, I never went to Denny's with the FGC, but where I did go was a place called Dragon's Gate after Wednesday Night Fights. It was like a little Chinese spot that was like maybe a block or 2 away from ESA.
Oh, I know where that's at. Yeah.
Yeah, it had really good skewers. I would always go there with like Bisu, Reggie, Justin at Law. JP went there a couple times, I think.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, it was great though. They had the great garlic noodles. But I guess that food may or may not have been better than Denny's. I don't know. I can't say for sure. But
God.
but yeah, that's definitely my answer though. Although it'd be funny to go with you guys to Denny's though after all of this.
You won't regret it.
You
It,
won't.
it has to be
You
at 2 a.m. or later though.
Yeah,
Okay. Alright.
also with like about 20 to 30 people.
20 to
Also,
30
mid-
people. Dang, for real?
Also, it has to be
Oh
midweek.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
hey,
You
can we
remember
get a
it.
table for like 16? We may have 4 more,
Yeah,
but we're not sure.
yeah. And it would have to be
Uh,
midweek. Midweek. So
Midweek.
Yeah, it has to be Thursday, and you have to be like I said, you have to be willing to give up a lot back
Yeah.
then, at least.
Yeah.
I was never ready for work the next day.
Nobody was.
Just never
I-
ready.
I only had 4 hours of school the next day, so I wasn't tripping. So
Yeah, I also.
man.
But
No, it wasn't just the breakfast food because we would talk so much after the event to where we get hungry, right? Where we would order a lot, and then we would talk while we were eating still,
Mhm.
and then after that we would talk some more.
I mean, it's mostly just about the conversations. That's
Yeah.
that's the big thing.
Because you're in the double parking lot vortex, right? Because first you're at the parking lot, but after the tournament, and then you're talking about where you're gonna go, and then you're at Denny's, and then you're in the parking lot again at the Denny's parking lot trying to leave, and nobody wants to leave, dude. Nobody wants to leave.
You just keep talking. You just keep talking.
Yeah,
And
you
then
don't
you're
want to
like,
be the last one out.
okay, so okay, it's getting late, guys. I'm about to go. Before you go though, about that match, and then you're there for like the next 45 minutes. Oh man, I gotta go. Oh, before you go though, it's like you're fucking done, dude. It's a wrap.
Yeah, dude. Man.
All right.
I think that's the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Denny's.
Denny's.
All day.
Denny's is the
Denny's.
goat.
Denny's is definitely the goat. Although nowadays, I think most after events stuff now is like K barbecue.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's
KBBQ.
because we finish earlier now,
Yeah, we do. We actually can.
so we have time to attend.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta get out before all the places close.
Yep. Or Mel's. I can do Mel's too.
Mm.
Mel's is good. Yeah, I could get
Yeah.
behind it.
But
Well, I mean, that's the problem. I mean, I don't know if did you guys go to Southtown Arcade? I think a couple of you guys did, right?
Yeah.
We would actually, when we would lose, so me, Terry, Harji, and maybe Parker or somebody else would come with us, and if we would lose early, we were actually super happy because we would be able to eat regular people food in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So if we get blown out by Who Man and everybody, it's like whatever, bro. We're having ramen. But if we do well that night, Denny's. So it's like,
That's such a shitty trade. I can't decide which one I would want if I was a player.
as a player, you want the Denny's.
It's true,
But as a person,
You want the ramen.
but I want them both.
You want that good shit.
Yeah.
I would sacrifice the money for the food. I want the good food. I want the good shit.
how about favorite NorCal match?
Favorite NorCal match?
Yeah.
Man, we could.
Man, I'd have to think
I mean,
about that
we
one.
have to prepare
Yeah.
for that.
Yeah, I'd have to
You have
think
to
about that.
prepare.
Let's save
Yeah,
that
we'd have to
for the
ponder that
next
one.
time. Save that for the
Yeah.
next time.
Yeah,
I
that's fine.
mean, we are kind of coming up on time right now, after all.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, we talked about why NorCal sucks. Again, we talked about the favorite locals that we like to attend back in the day, now, whatever. Talked about the Mount Rushmore of NorCal. You know, John Choi, Carolyn, I guess Crackfiend.
Whoa, wait!
We-
Before we lose that topic, let me add. I really want to add two people. Myung.
Okay.
Myung is an unsung
Myung.
hero of NorCal.
Game Center.
Yeah, he has held it down for nearly 10 years now. And I think Terry Haguri, for me personally, because
Hager, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
he's another behind the scenes sort of guy. He's also taking care of me and preventing me from making stupid decisions,
Hmm.
along with every other every other individual that has come in contact with him. And yeah, he deserves it.
Nice.
But yeah, Myung and Terry.
Yeah, no. They definitely deserve it, for sure. I mean, I've been to Game Center before, and Myung's, you know, he's chill, dude. It's pretty interesting. Like I would like to hear more of the stories behind Game Center. I'm sure you guys could indulge in that, but we can talk about that next time. But yeah, we would talk about the Mount Rushmore of NorCal. Talked about food. Talked about John Choi, and basically what the competition would be like. And that is all that we got for you guys today. Does anyone have any last words that they want to tell the people?
I can't wait to see you guys when this is all back to normal.
Oh, it'll
That's all I have
happen.
to say.
I just want to
Oh,
get
yeah.
everybody together for food.
Mm.
I just want this whole shelter in place when it's safe and responsible to be around everybody else, that we can just get together, have some good drinks, have some good laughs, have some good food, and some good company.
Mhm. But yeah. I think that like this was a pretty fun podcast though, in my opinion. I love talking about history and like what it was like behind, not behind the scenes, but like before my time and behind the scenes. And I don't know, it's just so interesting. It's a lot of fun to talk about. But yeah, I want to thank you guys all for joining. Crackfiend, Kevin Mikado, JPBreganza, and OneTimeHero, Leo. And yeah, I want to also thank you guys in the chat. You guys have been great, very active. Shouts to Carolyn in the chat as well. Thank you so much for the sub. you get that shout out because he subbed. Yeah, if you want shout outs, get subs. And but yeah, Leo, I have one last question for you. You're on the ground. You're playing boxer.
Oh,
What do you do?
yeah.
Do you mash, tech, or take the throw?
I've been knocked down.
Yep. That's your situation.
No
I
corner.
want to take the throw, but I am definitely teching. How about that?
He's one of them.
All right. So,
One of those.
one-time hero, certified techer. Shimmy him all day.
Once I get my
Alright.
mind to do once I get my body to do what my mind wants, you guys are done. Everybody here. Once my mind does exactly once my body does exactly what my mind wants, it's over. I'm gonna go talk to John. I'm gonna go sit in his cave.
Look, Leo,
Sit in his cave. Oh God.
there's some famous words by a philosopher, Leo. My mind is telling me no, but my body is telling me yes.
Oh man.
Think about it.
But yeah,
Thanks.
once again, thank you everyone for joining. I'm gonna try to get this episode up on YouTube. See how that
Thanks,
goes.
Higashi.
And but yeah, I suck at outros, but thank you all again once again for joining, and it's been great talking to you guys and learning about this NorCal history and talk about NorCal in general. And yeah, let's see if we can find someone that we feel like rating right now. We have to rate someone from NorCal. That is for sure. You guys are more than welcome to talk. Oh, Joser.
Yeah, Joe's there. Yeah, so thanks for putting this podcast together. I know that I've watched a few, like I said, both on YouTube and on Twitch. Some of the topics that you guys go over, I think they're very, very good. I think everybody, if you haven't followed Higashi, I think you should definitely do that.
Yeah. Please do.
Because again, we need more resources like this that aren't from the big three. You know what I mean? Like we have our own scene, we have our own people here, we have lots of experience in production, commentary, and skill. Right? We have all the pieces. So I think NorCal,
I think
we
I
can just own
like
it
this.
ourselves.
Yeah, I enjoy this enough for us to do this again sometime.
Mhm.
I think we can make that happen.
I'm down.
I'm more than down.
Yeah, get a webcam,
yeah.
Kevin.
Fine. All right.
Camera, dude. What the-
All right, I'm gonna play this clip again because I really like it a lot, and then we'll raid Joser. All right. So
All right. See you guys.
yes, thank
Later.
you all for
Hey,
joining,
everybody.
and we shall see you guys possibly next week. Most likely next week. We'll find out. I'll let you guys know. But yeah, thank you, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Latest.